Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Staff Talk Sports. I am Staff, and this week we're going to do things just a little bit differently. With no league games and international break, we are going to do a quick recap on last game week's predictions and then dive straight into this week's spotlight. So, last game week, I predicted a 2-win for Chelsea. It actually ended up being a 2-0 win for Chelsea. So, we got the results correct, but the scoreline was just a little bit off. For Leeds United versus Newcastle United, we said that Leeds would win 1-0 at Ellen Road. It turned out to be a snooze fest. It was a 0-0 draw, so we didn't get anything correct for that prediction. Then for Brighton and City, I said that City was going to bounce back from the previous week's loss to Tottenham Hotspur. I said that they were going to win 4-1. They actually ended up losing 2-1 to Brighton away, and it's back-to-back losses for Pep Guardiola's men. But very interesting scenes are brewing over there in Manchester City. And for the final game week prediction, I went a little bit biased. I said that Arsenal was going to break their 13-year hoodoo at Anfield with a 3-1 victory. It ended up being a 1-0 loss. Szoboszlai hitting an absolute wonder of a strike, 30 yards out for a free kick, and Arsenal ended up losing that matchup. Although we only got one result correct this week, it wasn't my best week, but we're going to keep swinging, don't you worry. But touching on that Liverpool and Arsenal game, that actually brings me to this week's spotlight. Mikel Arteta, bring that ass here, boy. This week's spotlight is about you, Gaffer. Now, there's a thing that I like to call football PTSD. Let me go ahead and give you the definition of what PTSD is in general. PTSD is when past traumas alter the behavior and decision making of the present. Now, although I'm not saying that Mikel Arteta clinically is diagnosed with PTSD, what I'm saying is that football wise, you can see that the scars of the defeats that he suffered, both as a player for Arsenal and as a manager for Arsenal, subconsciously might influence his game time decision making and calls. Here are some notable losses he suffered as a player for Arsenal and a captain for Arsenal. He lost 5-1 to Liverpool away at Anfield, 6-0 away to Chelsea during Arsene Wenger's 1000th game in charge. As a manager, he suffered a 3-0 loss at home against Aston Villa during the pandemic. He lost a bunch of times at Anfield, some of them being very heavy defeats. And most notably, he lost 4-1 to Manchester City during his first title race as a manager. And that is the one that I believe has deepened the scars that he suffered in football when it comes to these big games. Now, let me add some important context to some of the decisions that he makes. Mikel Arteta came to an Arsenal team that was not challenging at all. They were a million miles away when it came to actually being competitive in some of those big games. They were losing heavily to City, to Liverpool. They were suffering losses to Manchester United at times, suffering losses to Chelsea. Even they went on a few-year hiatus where they were not getting any wins against their bitter rivals, Tottenham Hotspur. So Mikel Arteta came to that situation as a manager, fully knowing what he suffered as a player for this football club. And he was hell-bent and intent in changing the fortunes of this football club to not only be competitive in these matchups, but actually go on to winning. Last season, with Arsenal being a title contending team in the very beginning of the season, they reached a catastrophic levels of injury crises that saw them losing Martin Odegaard for a few months, Bukayo Saka for a few months. Martinelli was out for a spell of time due to hamstring injuries. Gabriel Magalhaes was lost during the second half of the season. Kai Havertz was also gone on a long-term injury. So you had 5 to 6 notable players in the starting lineup. Gabriel Jesus also got an ACL injury in February. That's 6 to 7 key players for Mikel Arteta gone for a large period of time. And he had to take that and navigate that into not only making Arsenal a competitive team, but a team that can stay close to Liverpool as they started to widen the gap in the league table. All the pragmatism that he has shown in big games previously are not only due to cowardice, as the online community would like to have you believe. Some of them were purely from a point of survival. But now is the time to graduate. Now is the time to make that shift, to make that leap forward. It's been 5 years across two director of footballs, meticulously planning and building the squad to not only being ready for the big games, but also being battle hardened. Our center backs, Gabriel Magalhaes, William Saliba, they're ready. Our midfield of Declan Rice, Martin Odegaard, they're ready. Bukayo Saka, Eze, they're ready. Victor Gyökeres, his whole career journey is that of a man that is hell-bent and intent in making a statement and proving a point. From top to bottom, this squad is now ready. There is no more shrinking in the big moments. It's time to take it to the Liverpools of the world, to the Barcelonas, to the Real Madrids in the way that we did last year. Whether it's an injury crisis or not, it is time for Mikel Arteta to trust the group of men that he's brought together, and not only going into games to not lose it, but going into games to dominate it. Now, this doesn't mean that we go gung-ho reckless when it comes to the big games. I'm not telling Mikel Arteta to go out there and play Jurgen Klopp's rock and roll football. What I am saying is that I want him to step into these battles to not only manage the game, but to own them. I want him to enter games with the intent to dominate, because this team has the quality to do exactly that. Football is cruel to those who carry ghosts. The past can whisper doubt into the present. But this Arsenal, this squad, has earned the right to silence those whispers. Arteta's scars, it created the foundations, but it's time to stop living in them. Leave Anfield, Etihad, all those nightmares where they belong. Leave them behind to yesterday, because tomorrow belongs to the Arsenal. This has been Staff Talk Sports. I want to be here talking to you guys every single week. So please, please, please smash that like button. Subscribe to this channel. If you like the content and want to hear a little more from me, join the community and please join the conversation. Go down into the comments and tell me what you think. Do you think Arteta is too cautious when it comes to these big games? Do you think that the media narrative surrounding Arteta and this Arsenal team can sometimes be a little bit unfair? Let me know what you think down below. I will see you guys next game week. Peace and love to you all. Enjoy your international breaks.